Long live small cars. That's my ethos on this channel, Auto Social UK. We love small cars over here, and you may or may not know that I own a Volkswagen Up GTI. So having a car which is small in size, still has a very simple petrol engine and a wonderful manual gearbox is so important to me. And very few manufacturers are building them nowadays. I mean, let's face it, we can't blame them when it all comes down to supply and demand. So many people are going for larger SUVs, and it's also harder to make the money on these small affordable vehicles. But one brand who are still building a small affordable manual petrol car are Kia. This is the latest generation Kia Picanto, and in today's video I'll tell you all the changes for the latest generation car, and I'll also find out whether you can have just as much fun in an unturbocharged car as you can in a turbocharged. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching, and if you like new car reviews and car content, well, you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. But first of all, let's talk about something which Kia are extremely good at doing, and that's design. You see, Kia said that they never wanted to build Russian doll cars. They didn't want all of their cars to look exactly the same, but they wanted them to share some DNA, and that's very much clear in this new Kia Picanto. Sure, it doesn't really look like a Kia EV6, but it does look like a baby Kia EV9. You've got that squared off shape and quite the aggressive front bumper. Now this is the GT line car, and originally I wanted to test drive the most affordable version, which is the Level 2. That is one of the cheapest cars currently on sale in the UK. However, Kia pointed out to me that this lovely GT line trim with all the extras is only around £1,000 more, and for me this car makes a lot more sense than going for the entry level trim. You get the lovely design elements around the front, and you also get this front light bar and the cube lights that are very similar to the EV9. It also has a slightly more aggressive feel about it and some very cool alloy wheels. This colour is really popular for new cars nowadays. In fact, you're going to see in the next couple of weeks on the channel, I've also driven a Toyota Yaris Cross in a similar colourway. I really like it. It's like a blend between a green and a blue. It just feels a little bit different, although, as I say, it seems to be popular. So probably in a couple of years, we're going to see loads of cars this colour on the roads. But that's no negative in my eyes. If you go for any version of the Kia Picanto, you actually get this really nice lighting signature around the back. So you have this central bar, and then mid parts of the bar are lit up. Not completely to the middle, but I actually quite like that. At night, that's going to look really, really nice. Once more, you've got that very squared off design that you've got on the front of the car as well. And I really like the fact that in the last generation of Kia Picanto, they had false tailpipes. But this time around, they've decided to do away with them altogether and just tuck them away, which I think is the right decision, especially with no high-powered engines anymore. I also really like that on this GT line trim, you get this very nice gloss black rear diffuser. It looks like it has that sporty edge without showing off too much. Now, of course, when we talk about practicality when it comes to the Kia Picanto, that's not going to be its strongest point. Boot space is not too bad. With 255 litres, it's a touch more than its sibling, the Hyundai i10, and not far off the taller Suzuki Ignis. Another reason to opt for the GT line car is to have the adjustable boot floor, which isn't standard on the entry level 2. The rear seats are also understandably compact, but surprisingly spacious, and do accommodate 3 passengers, unlike the Volkswagen Up. The biggest surprise for me is there's a rear USB port, rare for this class of car, or even in classes way above. Whilst you're probably not surprised to learn that it does feel slightly cheaper in this cabin, I am really impressed with some of the features which have come across from the larger Kia models. For instance, one of my favourite features on any of the Kias are these little pop-out cup holders. This makes it so easy to use and also to customise that storage space. For instance, you can use them as cup holders or tuck them away if you need storage say for instance for another space for a mobile phone. You do have physical climate control dials, and perhaps these are one of the features that feel just a little bit cheaper, although if you go for some higher specification models they do change to digital dials, but these manual ones are absolutely fine. The touchscreen is also lovely. It's like a mini version of all the larger Kias. That means it's really intuitively laid out and it works just wonderfully. Every touch instantly goes exactly where you want it to. The Kia Picanto comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it does have to be wired using the old school USB port rather than your USB-C. However, you do have both options for charging, which I think's pretty good. Inside here, as I said, the quality is mixed. You've got some lovely seats on this GT line trim and also a lovely steering wheel with contrast stitching and some perforated leather effect. However, the dashboard is slightly scratchier and more plastic in feeling. But this car feels much higher quality than something, for instance, like the Suzuki Swift or the MG3. As I mentioned, this is the GT line trim, so it's the second most affordable Kia Picanto, and it will cost you around £1,000 more, and in my personal opinion it's well worth it for the uplift in equipment. For instance, this GT line gets things like a rear view camera, satellite navigation and automatic lights. Not to mention the uplift in quality. The GT line gets animal-free leather effect seats compared to the Level 2's cloth seats, alloy pedals and rear privacy glass. Although, despite this uplift in appearance, even the entry-level model comes fitted with parking sensors, satellite navigation and even a reversing camera. The little Kia Picanto is available with two different engine options. They're both petrols and they're both pretty small. There's a slightly more powerful 1.2 litre petrol engine, but the one that I'm driving today is the entry-level 1 litre engine, and this has a whopping, wait for it, 62 horsepower. Now I know that that doesn't sound like a lot, but there was a time when every manufacturer had a small car with small engines around 60 horsepower. I used to have a Volkswagen Up with that much power. But nowadays, when everything's being electrified and getting bigger and bigger, it demands for bigger engines, and they feel more powerful because you have the slight help from an electric motor. But this is pretty old school. This is a straightforward petrol with no turbocharging. And that has its benefits, and that's around town where it feels nice and smooth, easy to drive, and it also gets quite impressive fuel economy of between 45 to 60 miles per gallon. But these engines do have their slight downfalls, and that's if you try to take them out of a flat area. For instance, at the moment I'm driving around the Surrey Hills, and this is where this car loses quite a lot of its composure. You need to sit it in some really low down gears and work it super hard to be able to climb these hills. But then again, Kia never claimed that that's what this car was designed for. If you need a bit more oomph, then go for the slightly more powerful engine. But if you're looking for a really affordable runaround, well, it's absolutely adequate. The 1.2 litre engine gains a cylinder and boosts power to 77 brake horsepower, which might not sound a lot, but in my experience that adds an oomph that it's missing from the 1 litre 3-cylinder. Small performance car enthusiasts may be disappointed to find out that Kia will no longer be building the turbocharged 99 brake horsepower version of the engine. This engine answered a lot of the Picanto's problems, and it's a sad day to say goodbye. I have always loved the saying, however, that it's more fun to drive a slow car fast than it is a fast car slow. And that's the thing with everyday driving. You never really get to stretch the legs of particularly fast cars. However, having something like this, you can really take this car to its full potential. And I think there's a little bit of wonder in that, in having such a slow car, but being able to nip around and being so petite in size and being able to fit into smaller spaces. It certainly has its benefit, and it's exactly why I love my Volkswagen Up GTI. Sure, this car doesn't quite pack the punch that my car does, but it still has the same endearing qualities of small cars, and one of those are just how nimble they are. This car feels really, really nimble. It darts into the corners, and actually it handles its size quite well, because of course this now has a slightly bigger body kit, and I think you can feel that when you're driving it. It feels just a little bit more secure and planted. Cars are still available with either the 5-speed manual transmission, or you can opt for an AMT automatic. This essentially stands for automatic manual transmission. It's in between an automatic and a manual, and to be honest, in my personal opinion, it's not particularly enjoyable. If you're looking for an automatic car, then you may want to be looking towards perhaps the Volkswagen Polo with a DSG gearbox. Mind you, if you've had one of those gearboxes in previous generation cars, for instance in the Volkswagen Up or a previous generation Kia Picanto, then you'll likely know no different and have no issues. There's no denying that the loss of the turbocharged engine was a real blow to the little Kia Picanto and small car enthusiasts. But let's face it, we've only got ourselves to blame. People weren't buying that turbocharged GT car because they wanted an affordable, small, compact runaround. And that's why this version, with the new engines available, is going to be perfect for exactly where it fits in the market. And this new generation car not only looks better, but is safer and comes with more equipment than ever before. What's there not to love? I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, then hit that subscribe button. Let me know all your thoughts and feelings on the new Kia Picanto in the comments down below. And until next time, guys, see you later.